Thank you everyone for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. I see a couple of people are still looking to hop on, but we just want to be conscious of everyone's time. For those of you who don't know, my name is Shelby Carlson, and I'm head of sales and product here at Adcelerant. And we also have Adam Schaffner, who's our VP of operations and product. We are incredibly thrilled to talk about Device ID today. This is our new product that we've been searching for and getting ready to launch. For those, we did mute you again, so make sure that if you guys have any questions to hold them for the end, and we'll be going through Q&A live. Device ID has been something that we've been looking for a really long time. As we know that people are spending 3 hours or more on their device every day, we wanted to be able to find the best data possible to be able to get to someone on their phone and understand who that person really is. And when I mean person, I mean an actual human being. Obviously, we have significant issues, throughout this entire industry about getting tons of bot and running into more fake computer users than actual users. And so in this search for the best data, we were looking for someone who had the ability to go after the actual device ID code, therefore that we could know that that was someone's personal device and then be able to follow them home and also understand where they're going and what they're doing and data behind that actual person or device. And with that, we found and we've created Device ID targeting. So what is Device ID targeting? And we're going to get a little techie here, but I think that you guys will understand that it's really the ability to go after someone's mobile device. It's utilizing the consumer's unique, specific device to gather consumer profile data in order to deliver those very targeted, relevant brand message and offers. Very much like something we were doing before, except that it's actually going after the device ID. Again, this is the type of data and technology that we've been searching for so that we're able to get that actual person. The advanced spatiotemporal mapping provides advertisers with real-time audience insight. That special term essentially means we're able to draw that polygon around any location and understand what devices have been there, and then be able to pull out what we are calling an audience insight report, which gives unparalleled information of the devices that we were able to track and understand who's behind that device. What can we understand about that user, and ultimately become the most sophisticated targeting that's available in our world today. There are 2 different products that we're ultimately going to be able to leverage with this data. The first one I'm going to let Adam talk about, but it is essentially our goal to try to bring down the cost of the current IP targeting campaign. Now, there are lots of people leveraging that product, but it is sometimes a financial restriction for our local partners to be able to pay a high CPM. So we essentially have the same capability with device ID address match as we do with IP targeting. And I'll let Adam extrapolate on that.
Right, so we have the same essential functionality that we do with IP targeting, where we can take a list of consumer or customer addresses and match those to device IDs. So using this technology, we can upload those addresses and determine which device IDs live at those addresses. And so not only are we able to target these people while they are at home on these devices, but we can target those devices wherever those people go, whether they're at work or traveling around town. So that's one big advantage over IP targeting. We also have improved reporting over IP and the same matchback capabilities at the end of the campaign.
So we'll be taking questions at the end. We have a couple great ones already coming, but I'll quickly answer one of them. How wide is the polygon? We're going to show you the actual back end in just a little bit and show you exactly how we polygon and what comes out of it. And the recommended retail pricing will be coming from your team, but we wanted to be very clear on the wholesale pricing as we think that it's very, very competitive in the market. The second product that we are capable of doing is essentially what we've been doing with micro proximity, except the difference here is that this is mostly a look back product. So we can create a polygon around any location and create that custom audience targetable, again, no matter where that user goes in their visit. And because it's targeting, again, the device ID, we have that really high quality, real human user data to be able to send your client's marketing brand message. I think it's also incredibly important to know that the big difference here is that we absolutely need a list or a CSV file for the addresses that you are looking to target. If you have a custom audience, for example, if you wanted to map every Walmart in a particular DMA or, in the United States, we are capable of doing that and pulling that information together, but we absolutely recommend that you provide a list via CSV. And I know some people do not have Excel, so a list would be fine. We can throw it into Excel for you when you are looking to put together your proposal. So at this time, we're going to show you the back end, essentially what happens once you request a proposal. And I think that you'll find that this is really, really exciting. And we also want to share with you what the audience insight report, which comes back with every single proposal. Now, because of the mapping, this is a bigger turnaround time than most of our products. We need 3 business days, and there's not much we can do for tight turnarounds. So be very conscious as you're selling this to set proper expectations. Go ahead, Adam.
All right, thanks, Shelby. So here we are inside the actual platform, and we figured it's just easier to show you guys how this works. I think it really simplifies what we're doing. Everything that we do with device ID targeting hinges off of 2 data points, which are time and space. So we pick a space or a polygon, then we draw that, and then we set a date range and capture the device IDs within that. So we'll say, for this example, maybe we're a business, we have a sports bar in downtown Denver, and we want to get baseball fans to come in and check out a new special that we're running. So we want to get everyone that's been to Coors Field or been to an actual baseball game. So what we'll do is we'll just draw a polygon around Coors Field. And I'm going to get some of the parking lot as well. So we can draw polygons of any shape. And if I hit this get device count button, it's going to tell me how many devices we're seeing within our date range, which currently is March 1st through May 29th. So we've got 14,000 device IDs captured within that time frame. And we might decide we also want to hit all the people that have come through Union Station, which is a central hub for public transportation. It's got a lot of cool shops and bars. It's a really fun place to hang out too, and people are always hanging out there before games. So we're going to capture the block around Union Station 2 and see how many more device IDs that gets us. All right, so now I've got 2 polygons, and I'm going to refresh my device count here. And keep in mind, the more polygons we have, the longer it takes to pull these device counts. And now our audience is up to 26,000 people. And if we expand our date range, we're going to see even more devices added to this pool here. And that's essentially the quick and dirty on how we pull these audiences. So we can draw polygons of any shape. If you're using that address match technology, the polygons will just be drawn around the lot boundaries of those physical addresses. Otherwise, our team will be doing these custom polygons and date ranges. And keep in mind too that we can refresh these as your campaign is running every 2 weeks. So we can essentially just be adding more users. If you have a 6-month long campaign, every couple of weeks we can come in here and refresh and just continue to add those visitors who have been inside of these polygons.
You can see on this one, we have about 26,000 total devices. Our rule of thumb here is that we try to get to about 50,000. We want to make sure that we have the right scale to run a proper campaign. And as always in programmatic, if we don't have enough to target, we have a little bit of an issue hitting the actual impression count. So as you're thinking of places for us to polygon, be very conscious that one location is probably not the best way to leverage this product. We would want multiple locations. We really want to build a custom audience.
That's right. And there are a few ways to expand this audience, which we'll talk about in just a second here. But for the purposes of this demo, we're just going to go ahead and build out this audience so we can show you the next step, which is the audience insight report. So this is something that you'll get back with every device ID proposal and campaign that you run. And it's really, really cool. What this first map is showing us here are the households of where these device owners live. So you can see most of them, 6,700, live in Denver, but there are a number of other users who were visiting Denver. We get a lot of people from out of state, especially in the summertime. And so this is telling us exactly where those other households, where they are. So we've got people in Detroit, New York City, Seattle, etc. We can actually zoom in on this and see how it breaks down. So as you can see, most people are in Denver, but again, visitors from all over. And then we have our heat map, which is just kind of recapping where our polygons were drawn. This pie graph here is the total devices, and it breaks down how many of those devices we have a matched household to. So that's typically going to be between 50 and 75% of the total devices we will match to a physical address. And that is based on their location data. So if they're going to the same home address every night and sleeping there through those hours of the day, we determine that it's probably their house, and that's how that data is collected. And then this next map here to the right, devices seen by location. So if you had a huge audience with devices all over the country or all over the state, you can see that here. We're all only in downtown Denver, so that's why you only see the dot in downtown Denver there. And then this is the really cool part of the audience insight report. So this is breaking down our audience by when they were seen in the polygons that we drew. So we can see here that most of the people are coming to that area on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which totally correlates with baseball games and when people typically go to baseball games, especially when school is still in session. And then it also breaks it down by hour of day. You can see there's not a ton of traffic in the early midnight to early hours of the morning, but as the day gets going, and especially by the afternoon and into the evening, we see a lot more device IDs in the polygons. And then it also breaks down by the top 5 zip codes of where people reside. So these are all Denver zip codes. And then the visitor frequency is how many times that device was seen within the polygons that we drew.
What's really exciting about this is that we often run into people who say that they don't want to be able to go after their employees, and anyone seen within these polygons 21 plus times are probably employees. So what we're capable of doing is just excluding them from our serve. And that's something that I think is very, very exciting to entertainment, to auto, to education. Actually, probably for education, if you're not going to school 21 plus times, you're probably not a student. So sometimes it makes sense to keep that audience, and sometimes it makes sense to exclude it.
And always, just let your campaign managers know if you do want to exclude part of this audience, let them know ahead of time. And then it also breaks down by household income and age, which is really great because we already, based on just this report, we can start building a lookalike audience from this data. So we already have a lot of insight into who our audience is.
And this is also information that we would want to apply to a programmatic display campaign to coincide with this data, now that we have such unparalleled data on the audience that we're really looking to target.
That's right. And to my earlier point, so we know where all of these, where at least 60% of these devices live. And one of the ways that we can expand our audience using this technology, if we find that we don't have the reach that we need just with the polygons and time frame, is do what's called household extension targeting. So knowing their home addresses, we can also capture and add to our audience the device IDs that live at the same address. So typically there's going to be 3 or 4 device IDs per household. So if we capture one of those because they went to Coors Field and went to a baseball game, if we want to, we can also capture all of their roommates' devices and start targeting those people and expanding our audience that way. So that's just one way that we can expand our reach in a really relevant way that's still true to the campaign, even if we do have a small time frame or small polygon to work with.
Great. So I hope you guys are as excited about this product as we are. We are really first to market with this technology. It's really only been available since January. So I'm very excited for everybody to be able to go out into the field and talk to their advertisers. We wanted to give just a couple ideas on how to leverage this data. We have visitor targeting, which is simply, being able to go after the people in those polygons and then of course follow them around. And a big question that has come up is if this is app inventory or WAP or just mobile inventory, and it is both. And we will be leveraging both for sure, even though it's still about 50-50 or 60-40 app over mobile web. We just want to be everywhere as much as we can and certainly not fall into any scale issues. We also have conquest visitor targeting. Again, this is leveraged in our world all the time, but it's a great way to offer this opportunity to those advertisers that are very conscious of conquest and competitive targeting. We also have home address identification and reverse append. This is, again, the comparable product for IP targeting and obviously has a much different wholesale cost at $8 versus the $11 that it's at currently. And then household extension plus lookalike targeting. Again, this is what Adam just mentioned, but being able to not only target the users that fell into that polygon, but all their other household roommates or family inside of that location that they live so that we can extend that opportunity even further. It also has the ability, and we will absolutely be leveraging cross-device targeting. If we're able to capture that user on their mobile device and then leverage cross-device and find them on their other devices, on their desktop, on their tablets, we're going to be able to turn on cross-device as well. So we have lots of targeting ideas on here, but this is essentially kind of just a little bit more repetitive from what we've been talking about before, but we want to be able to leverage this data as much as possible. We've also opened up the opportunity if you're currently running a micro proximity campaign and you'd like to shift and move over to this targeting. We are offering up the same CPM you're paying right now for micro proximity, which is $6. We're willing to move over to this data at no additional cost, as this current targeting is $7 wholesale. If you're looking to make a changeover, please just update your tickets and we will shift over as soon as possible. A couple more ideas, again, things that we've talked about already, and this deck will be available to you directly after this training, and we'll be sending it off to everybody. We will also be putting it into your folders that you will have access to. One thing that's incredibly exciting with this type of targeting is the availability to provide you foot traffic or point of interest, POI attribution. And this obviously won't be available via our reporting dashboard, but is a service that will be provided and data that will be provided after the campaign is done. And I'll let Adam extrapolate on that.
Sure. So, we do look to put this into reports.marketing sometime later this summer. But until that happens, we can do this manually. So you saw me drawing the polygons of our target audience. And what we would essentially do is draw another polygon around a point of interest, or POI, which could be our actual retail store. And then we'll pull another quote unquote audience there after the campaign started running and pull those device IDs. So then we can actually match up the device IDs that we originally targeted from our target audience to those visitors who actually were seen entering the store physically. So that's something I know a lot of people have been asking about, and we're super excited to be able to offer that now. And that'll be a manual process for the time being, but we will integrate that into the dashboard as soon as we can.
This is available. Again, we have lots of different targeting impacts available with this, that geofencing, location analytics, or that POI, mobile retargeting, targeting to the household address, leveraging the third-party data services, with that unparalleled audience insight report over to your programmatic campaign. And then, of course, the very stringent mobile targeting capability that we now have access to. There is a very sophisticated data collection and validation tied to this product, which is essentially why we were so excited about it. We take inventory quality first and foremost as our main priority, and we have been seeking out the top mobile targeting ability. And so for that, I'll let Adam go through these, but it's just our ability, again, to get to the human versus fall into cookie data. Now, it doesn't mean that it's 100%, but we certainly have an ability to see cookie data or bot traffic faster than we've ever been able to, leveraging this data.
Yeah, and I'll quickly just touch on these, but I would implore you guys to also set up a follow-up call with us, because we'd be happy to set some time aside to go through this with more detail. And if you want more info on the data collection validation, we're happy to set that up with you. But we do everything. We match mobile devices to address and location key data. We can identify single family versus multifamily residences, household versus individual identification, commercial versus residential, and then a number of algorithms that are correcting for deduplication, and things that essentially make it look, if we find invalid data, that gets scrubbed and cleaned out of the system. And then here's our frequently asked questions, and these are really important. How many device IDs do I need in order to run a campaign with significant reach? And we feel that 50,000 devices is going to be a really healthy audience to get you there. We can certainly start with smaller device ID counts and see how well it does. It depends on what your date range for the campaign is as well. But like I said, there are a number of ways we can extend our audience in a really meaningful way with household targeting and or lookalike targeting on top of that. Number two, how is user privacy protected, and are there restrictions by industry? So user privacy is protected by the individual user agreements that are on every individual app on people's devices that you click agree. You're basically agreeing to share your location data if that app is using that data. So that's how you're protected there. And there are no restrictions by industry, but in order to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection, or COPPA, regulations, we recommend not targeting K-12 schools with this technology. Number three, can we exclude employees and or business owners who frequent my target locations? And the answer is yes. Just let us know if you need to exclude employees. Typically, it's a very small percentage of your audience, but again, if that's something you'd like to exclude, just let us know up front and we can take care of that for you. And then where can I find reporting? All reporting is going to be where you're used to seeing it already in reports.marketing. And I'll point out too that if you're familiar with micro proximity or our old look back reporting, this is greatly improved reporting, especially in the geo section of reports.marketing. So highly accurate geo reporting. Otherwise, everything will be found where you're used to seeing your display campaigns.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for joining. We have quite a few questions that I will go through on the side here, and then we will unmute and have open discussion. Thank you so much, you guys. I hope you're as excited as we are. Does a device ID remain static, or can it change with software updates, etc.? Great question. A device ID, first of all, is a 64-bit number as a hex string. And you guys can kind of Google that later if you have any questions. That is randomly generated on the device's first boot and should remain constant for the lifetime of the device. So hopefully that answers your question. Can you go back in time? Absolutely. We can go back 6 months. Apologies, 8 months. So 8 months is as far as we can go. And then we also have the ability, for example, if there's a big event that you would like for us to polygon, 5 days after that event, we can polygon and be able to tell you how many devices were in that location. For example, if there was a big festival that you would like to be able to go after, maybe music lovers, let us know that you're interested in us polygoning that location, and we will let you know how many devices we can pull from that location back in time 5 days after the event.
And just to add to that, right now, it is 8 months back in time that we can see. In a month from now, that'll be 9 months. So that data always stays in there, and we are constantly ingesting device ID data. So keep that in mind. Our pool is always growing, and we can pull the same audience now and in 2 months from now, and we would see an increase in device IDs just because we're constantly adding more data sources and device IDs to the pool.
Absolutely. The next question is, out of the polygon, could you just target, say, males 25 to 40? The answer is yes. However, if we have scale issues, it will be important to add to the polygon. We do have some demographic layering available. Anything that you essentially can pull from the audience insight report is something that we can tailor to. Just be very conscious that we might not be able to have the scale, and that we will reach out to you and say that we need to add to the polygon. Will you be showing how this could be applied to a list of home addresses? Example, we have a list of home addresses and we only want to target the people from those homes, not their neighborhood. I hope we answered that when we showed the platform, but yes, it is the ability to just go after the devices inside of any address list that you give us. Is there a frequency cap on ads delivered to each individual ID? It is the same frequency cap that we have now, which is, go ahead.
We default to 3 per 8 hours, but that is customizable. So if we need to open that up or restrict it, we can definitely do that.
And then the last question we have here is, if we, we've got a lot going through. Hang on one sec. So, but could you quickly explain how the ID is determined? So there are a lot of applications on someone's devices that ask for location data, and it's essentially that opt-in data. For example, one that seems to be getting a lot of press lately is your flashlight app, which almost everybody has. And that flashlight app is really leveraged for location data. While you obviously use your flashlight, those people who created that application are making most of their money by selling location data. And that is pretty congruent for most of the applications that are being created today. And that's essentially where most of the location data is coming from. And we have a question to split male and female delivery separate information, separate messaging. And the answer is yes. However, that would be 2 different campaigns. So you would have a minimum of 40,000 impressions for each of those separate messaging. Let's see. The tech is absolutely rolling out to locations other than the United States, but it's still looking for a little bit more scale. The devices will be there soon, and we will let everybody know where we feel comfortable when it's time to go out of the United States. We have a question saying, since we can target by age, can we use to get micro proximity K-12 and avoid child online protection issues? The answer is yes, we can definitely do that. Okay, and can you limit the geo that we deliver to? Absolutely. You still set the geography that you're delivering to. For example, you know, for that Denver campaign, we'd only be interested in the devices that we found in Denver or in Colorado, and we wouldn't be showing the messaging to any of the other devices that were in the United States. Great questions, everybody. If you have another question, let's wait one more minute and you can throw it inside of the chat and we will answer it. And I know we're a little out of time, but we hope that everybody is as excited as we are about this product. It's probably the most exciting product that we've felt that we've launched since the beginning of Adcelerant. And we're very excited to put it in your hands, especially since we're so early to market. And we will be sending out the marketing and sales material directly after this campaign, if anybody missed that message. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your account executive and we will get all questions answered as soon as possible. Thank you so much.